Hello, good evening. Let me check. Okay, looks like the mic is good. Live by design, not by default. Welcome to Inspirational Moments with me, Billy. This evening, we're gonna explore and discuss about feelings. Okay, not something that I am known to be talking a lot of. See, most of the clients associate me with NLP and hence always about mindset change, etc. When actually I'm also a certified trainer in EQ. EQ stands for emotional quotient. All right. So tonight we're gonna explore the multitude of human intelligence that lives within us. All right. So first of all, let me say hello to all the early birds. Hello, Mary, Ellen, Malaysia. Hello, Kate, Catherine, Sharon's, Ken, Tay. Welcome again, Ken. And Leonard, howdy. Dylan, yes, saw you earlier on. Okay, it's quite interesting when I put up my screen. I'm seeing like there's a subtitles, that captions that came out on its own. I did not enable that. How do we, anyone have any idea how do I disable that? Because kind of strange when the words came out on its own. Right, see, it's repeating what I just said. Okay, because there's a lag here. Okay, so this evening anyway is about feelings. Actually, contrary to most people's belief, EQ or emotional intelligence does not necessarily mean it's all about feelings. It is more actually about blending thinking and feelings in order to make choices, in order to make better decisions, in order to carry out the actions and the behaviors better. All right, so it's subtitle. Is it on your side or is it just the control is on my side? The auto captioning, because for some reasons they will spell it wrong or that I'm not pronouncing the way they like it to be heard. Gearing is settings is the gear icon. Okay, I don't have a gear icon now. Let me see. Facebook. All right, I have nothing on here actually. So I don't know why it comes on. Okay, I was told previously that it was the user side that has the settings on or off. But strangely, I'm looking at my iPad and I have it on the iPad. Oh, both parties can turn it on and off. Okay, I guess I will explore it later on then. And then we can just focus on our topics. Yeah, because it's the pronunciation, right? Like I don't know if you use Apple phone, you talk to Siri. How often does Siri understand you, or rather, how often does Siri misunderstood you? I'm using Android, but I'm always going on the typing mode, and also for some reasons, the way we pronounce words, the way we say the words will come out something different. Okay, just focus on what I say instead. Can turn it off on the iPad. Yeah, I guess I'm probably gonna do it. It's quite disturbing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So welcome this evening. So question: How do you feel today? How do you feel today? Question is specific to your feelings. How do you feel today? Today I feel well. I feel pleasant. I had an earlier session in the morning from 10 to 12 for several hundreds people, and we did it via Zoom, and it was a good session. I enjoyed the session, and I think they enjoyed the session too. And I feel well and I feel pleasant today. How do you feel today? All right, feeling great. That comes from Kit. Okay, Daniel, welcome. Annie, welcome. Pelf, welcome. All right, so within the last week or so, what emotions have you felt? What emotions have you felt? right? Like great, good, not exactly emotional words. So I'm looking for emotional words. Maybe perhaps today is a bit too short. How about the last one whole week? During the course of the last whole week or the last whole month, what emotions did you feel? Feel productive and great, appreciated. Okay, Pelf, by being productive, you mean you have gotten things done, the task that you laid out that you like it done. Okay, Ken goes, I feel great. All right, I'm still not hearing emotional words per se. All right, now comes Mary with happy and calm. Okay, this is a more emotional words, more feeling words. All right, okay, already loving the sharing. Thank you very much, Ken. Love having you here. All right, bit of frustration, disappointment, and then relief, and then happiness. Okay, that's from Kit. And Cindy Ong shared some anxiety. Okay, well, the whole week cannot be just anxiety, right? What else? What else do you feel? What other feelings? What other feelings do you have? What other feelings do you have? Come on, come on. Exhausted. Is that a physical state or is that an emotional state? Exhausted. Can we feel emotionally exhausted as well as physically exhausted? So exhausted on its own don't tell us very much except that you're tired, right? So we don't know whether is it a physical thing or is it an emotional thing. Okay, they're all related actually at the end of the day, right? But it's good that we just dissect it one at a time. So specifically, we are dealing with feelings. All right. The last one whole week, one whole month, what emotions do you feel? What emotions do you feel? Come on, besides the, cannot be just one. I thought kids' expression was a bit more accurate, but of course, you're a master trainer. A bit of frustration and disappointment, and then relieved, and then happy. Okay, it's probably like a mix of emotions coming together rather than just one. Okay, so today we'll discuss about the multiple intelligence that we have, and of course tonight is about EQ, emotional intelligence. Actually, there's so many kinds of human intelligence. We have IQ. IQ is typically about how good you are with your logical, rational analysis, and perhaps doing some mathematics. Yeah. Okay, towards the end of the week, became angry. Oh, okay, chill, Cindy, chill. All right, so IQ is the first one and the more well-known one. And then there is the concrete intelligence, which refers to motor skills, like sports people who are specifically very good at their game would be deemed to have those concrete intelligence or high concrete intelligence in those areas. All right, so it's more skills related. Then we also have what we call social intelligence. So social intelligence is about how good you are connecting with people, communicating, and dealing with people. All right, we also have this thing called a spatial intelligence. It's to do with the visual analyzing of space, right? People who are good at maps, who are good at their directions would be more spatial intelligence kind. Break it down further, we have musical intelligence, right? So I, for instance, have never had the opportunity to really learn music. All right, so all my music, my singing and a little bit of guitar playing and all, they were all self-taught. And I was always quite amazed by some people whom, like, the tune is so clear to me, and then they'll be singing at the wrong tone. Okay, later on I came to know that in music that will be called tone deaf, as in cannot hear the tone properly. But I always somehow have been quite rhythmic, can quite catch up on tone, and tend to be quite good in that area. So perhaps I have within myself some musical intelligence. Okay, then there's the kinesthetic intelligence, the intelligence to feel things, interpersonal intelligence, as well as intrapersonal intelligence. There's also naturalist intelligence. There's also existential intelligence. Wow, quite a mouthful. I think I already named easily like 10 emotions already, or 10 intelligence. And on top of that, we now have emotional intelligence. And the new thing, we have artificial intelligence. Actually, I think artificial intelligence is now gaining popularity. A lot of people talk about it and all. Actually, it's not so much of a big deal because as human beings, we have long been using artificial intelligence. As in when you put on a mask, you're not really happy, but it's a happy occasion. You don't feel happy and then it's not appropriate. So someone comes to you and say, how do you feel? Oh, I feel happy. Right? But actually you're not. So I think for a long time, we humans have been using artificial intelligence, right? We invented it. Anyway, so more and more computers are learning things now. One day, our computers and machines may even be able to feel. I don't know. All right. So in NLP, we typically refer to emotions as a state. All right. So if you think about it, the word state is a bit more encompassing. You can have a mental state, a psychological state, an emotional state, a physical state. Right. So like just now, when who was it? Sharon's mentioned exhausted. Is that mental exhaustion? Is it psychologically exhausted, emotionally exhausted, or physically exhausted? All right. And the reason in NLP we just call it a state is because feelings are just thoughts with juice. Feelings are just thoughts with juice. All right. So for a long time, we tend to separate the head and the heart, so the thinking is here and the feeling is here. Actually, there's no feelings here. Feelings all happen inside here. All right. Our emotions happen here. Yeah. All right. So why EQ is important? This was started like in the 1990s. Hang on. I think I got some slides on this. Yeah. Started in 1990 by this man, Dr. Daniel Goleman. Started with his first book on emotional intelligence. Hi, Ronnie. Good to see you again. All right. And subsequently, a couple more books. Now, Daniel Goleman kind of made the topic EQ or EI became popular back then in about mid-90s, when actually for a long time people have been talking about EQ. Okay. So somehow he made it popular. Captured a lot of attention, and he was interviewed on Time magazine as well, and where he explained and talked more about EQ. Yeah. So the main thing that I got out of this, which to me was probably the most important thing about the whole concept of EQ, is that what Daniel Goleman has found out is people 80% of a person's success is not in the IQ per se. It is more in the EQ, the ability to harness the power of their emotion and turn them into motivation so that they can get things done, so they can have great achievements and achieve goals, right? So when I first knew that, obviously I'm very excited about it, because never been known to be an IQ smart person. I'm one of those people who in school the teachers would probably not like to have me around. That's me. Okay, so that said, thoughts, when it's given a charge, when it's given an interpretation, becomes an emotion. Okay. And because there's so many things these days, describing emotions can be quite a tricky question, because the answers that I'm getting a lot of times is referring to maybe even referring to a mental state or a physical state. All right. So really, EQ is about increasing your awareness, your self-awareness. It's about increasing your level of emotional literacy, meaning being aware of what you're feeling and have the right word to describe it. Okay, so let me again take you through the slides. All right, so like I mentioned, this is Dr. Daniel Goleman. So EQ effectively is actually blending thinking and feelings to make wise decisions. It's not just purely follow your heart per se. All right, there are actually thinking involved when it comes to EQ. All right, and then of course just now I mentioned a few kind of intelligence. We can add these 3 to the 12 that I already described. So now we have 15. We have abstract intelligence, of which IQ, analytical skills form a part of it. All right, okay, then the concrete intelligence I mentioned, social intelligence also mentioned. All right, so maybe we have 12. Okay, so with EQ, the key is about enhancing your emotional literacy, being able to recognize exactly what are the feelings you are feeling. Because if you can name the feelings correctly, then we can find resources within ourselves to deal with those feelings. All right. The problem is if we label the emotions wrong to begin with, then whatever management approach you are taking may well be wrong as well. Yeah. So this evening, I really hope to take you through some emotional words, some real feeling words. And then we'll discuss about the power of choice and how to recognize our patterns and so on and so forth, right? Okay, how many of us have ever seen people out there and, you know, they get upset at things, and that from where you are, you notice that they have overreacted with their situation? How many people have seen people like that? They kind of like lose control. I mean, okay, the situation warrants that someone be angry. That would be acceptable because, you know, it was a situation. But to the extent that the person got angry, it's kind of like the person over-angered, overreacted. All right, that's usually a sign of someone who has accumulated a lot of negative emotions. Yeah. And so our take obviously is to deal with these emotions before you reach a tipping point. Because when you reach the tipping point, you tip over, sometimes we may end up doing things or saying things with very severe, serious and dire consequences. Yeah. Hello, for those who just joined us, Joseph Ng, Asna, Faiz, nice of you to locked in and join us again. And Pauline Chung, good to see you too online. Hey, I was just discussing about feelings and asking how do you feel today? What are some feelings you experienced today? What are some feelings you experienced this week, this month? Yes, Mary included. Okay, you're responding to my earlier question about overreacting. Yeah. Hello, Judy from Australia. All right. So yeah, as we look around, you see reports of cases of people overreacting, resulting in pretty serious and dire consequences, when actually the issue at hand or the problems are actually relatively small problems. All right. So why would people react? And that's because these people have accumulated a lot of negative emotions and did not deal with it. So they are like walking volcanoes. Right, waiting to, you know, just the slightest thing that would tip them off, and then it will erupt. All right, so it's important that we also learn about EQ, and so that we can apply them for ourselves. All right, because our emotions does affect our thoughts. Our emotions affect our thoughts. Our emotions affects our well-being, our behaviors, and our action. All right. So first off, psychologists are still arguing whether human beings were born with 6 basic emotions or 8 basic emotions. As far as I'm concerned, 6 or 8, it doesn't matter. But hey, so these are the basic emotions, right? We have joy, acceptance, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, and anticipation. Okay, so now that I have it out as words for you, right? And I'd like you to think back again. Do you have something to add with regard to the question in the past week, the past month? What feelings did you feel? Because earlier when I asked the question, I only see one word answer, two word answer, answers like I feel great, I feel good, I feel productive, I feel appreciated. Okay, that's an emotional word. And then we have happy and calm. But now having seen this list of words, did you experience any of this during the last week or so? And also, I don't know, if you notice this list or these 8 basic emotions, are there more like positive emotions or are there more negative emotions? Are we inborn with more negative emotions or more positive emotions? Something to think about. All right. Now, have you also, those aren't emotional words. Which one are not emotional words? The ones I say or the ones that are on the slide right now? This is taken from PLUTCHIK'S model. So Pelf, you got to specify for me. I don't understand which one you said that's not non-emotional words. Yeah, because we kind of, a lot of us are very, our thinking is very at the thought level, right? Rather than going down. Okay, here's another one I don't understand. What? Okay, towards okay, that one we have anger. No, this one. What do you mean by 50-50? Oh, as in the positive and negative emotions, is it? All right, so if that's the case, then we are pretty fair, as in life is pretty fair to us. We have been given a fair hands, yeah? Okay, Pelf was referring to the ones used by all of you when you answered my first question, what did I feel? Okay, so very few of us go into the heart level, the emotional level. All right, so labeling the emotions correctly is important. Obviously, you don't confuse sadness with anger. Anger will have anger's approach and strategies to deal with it, whereas sadness is another approach, or at least it will be different. Yeah. All right, so these are just the basic emotions. Now, I'm sure there are more than these 8 emotions that we feel, right? Because as human beings, we are also very creative. We are very inventive at the same time. Now, have you heard of mixed feelings? Have you heard of mixed feelings? Okay, what does that mean? That literally means we mix feelings together. Now, so what happens when we start mixing 2 different feelings together? It becomes another feeling. It becomes another emotion. Okay, like for now, let's start with the one that I have an arrow indicated. When you combine joy and acceptance together, what do you get? What emotion does it become? From joy, what does it become after that? If we combine these 2 together, let's see if we got some correct answers. Okay, no cheating, cannot Google and find answers, because you can find PLUTCHIK'S model all over the internet. It's a good model, easy to understand and easy to appreciate. Okay, how about if we combine acceptance and fear? What do we get? Think about it. There's fear, and yet you kind of accept it. What would that have become? All right. How about fear and surprise? So joy plus acceptance is appreciated. Okay, we can just hold it there. All right, some words are coming out. That's good. Appreciated. Honored. Gratitude. Is gratitude a feeling or is it a state? If I feel indebted to, then that's a feeling. If I feel gratitude, interesting. Submission, that's a nice answer. Okay, so just think about it, right? Each of these 2 emotions start combining together. And we're not talking about the intensity yet. Because obviously fear can have different intensity, right? You may start off with a little bit of dislike, a little bit of disgust before it intensify to become fear. And if fear intensify, it may become terror. And that's when the emotion become really serious. Yeah. Okay, this is the answer. So if you combine joy and acceptance together, we get trust. We combine acceptance and fear, we have submission. So far, I think Dylan is the only one who hit it right. Oh, don't worry. When I went through the EQ training, I didn't get it right myself. Okay, when you combine fear and surprise, it becomes awe. If you combine surprise and sadness and mix them together, it's disappointment. Sadness and disgust become remorse. Disgust and anger become contempt. Anger and anticipation is aggression. Anticipation and joy is optimism. All right, so now we uncanned a can of worms already. So we have 8 basic emotions, and what we have just done is we mix feelings together, and now we create another 8 emotions. Is it possible that we continue to mix the emotions and then start creating more and more and more emotions? Hence, quite generally, when you ask people how they feel, they give you a word that is what we call in NLP very chunk up. They give a very general word. You know, how do you feel? Good. How do you feel? Great. How do you feel? Excellent. But that really don't tell you the exact feelings. Yeah. So if we explode all of this and now go into from the basic emotion, start mixing the emotion, start tweaking the intensity of the emotion. It can explode out to potentially so many emotions. Anyone want to make a guess how many emotions does human beings have? How many emotions does human beings have? Yes, gentlemen, I know that's a tough question. It was tough for me too. No Googling, come on, give it a shot. Emotions are like onions. This is interesting. From Ellen. Emotions are like onions with many different layers blended together. Yep. So we have emotion can be on its own, but you can also mix feelings together and that becomes another emotion entirely, or at least it has a different name. All right. So remember we said that part of being EQ smart is we got to at least be able to pay attention on what we are feeling and be able to recognize the feelings, be able to label the feelings that we have accurately. I give you an example. I remember once, although this is quite a while ago, but it was something I remember. I remember once when I went to a wake of a friend. His father passed on, and I know that among the brothers and all that, he's closest to the father. In fact, his father lived with him, and when all his brothers moved out and got married. And I went to him that evening. You know, we after all the buzz, busy with the visitors and people who came to pay their respect, we get to sit down, and I asked him, I said, hey man, how do you feel, man? And he broke down and cried like I've never seen him cry before. And he told me he felt very, very sad. Now, at that moment, instantaneously, he has labeled his emotions wrongly. When he's in that state, do you think is sadness, or is it more intense than that? Because I think what he went through was grief. and not sadness. See, if you think of something, if you think of it as being sadness, then you will come up with your own approach to deal with sadness, or maybe even ignore it because it's not serious enough to warrant any attention. But when it is grief, we have to really deal with it and do something about it, because then it will start to have very significant impact on the mind as well as on the body. Yep. Okay, some contributions here from Annie. I know woman has uncountable emotions. Okay, so please never ask men, do you know how I feel? Okay, because no idea. All right, Dylan, you're right there. Yeah, that would be grief. Yeah, so showing you all of this. Primarily, it's been said we have 27 emotions. All right, come out from the 6 or the 8 that they're still arguing about. I think the key here is to be able to turn inward. And that's also part of the intelligence I spoke about earlier on when I said intrapersonal intelligence. The ability to tune into ourselves and feel the feelings that we feel. And then, of course, giving the feelings a right name, a right label. Then we can devise approaches and go about to deal with it. Yeah. Okay, tell me, are we in control of our own feelings? Is our feelings within our own control? Or is how we feel affected by other people? Is how we feel affected by situations and what is happening? Yeah. We live in a very closely knitted world where everything seems to be connected one way or another. All right, so there's a situation that happens and you have a feeling towards it. Okay, and maybe the feeling was like very intense, so it's no longer on the outer petals. It's now more on the inside, which are the stronger emotion: loathing, rage, terror, grief. These are like very, very strong emotions, right? If we don't do anything about it effectively, we start to create our own psychological and emotional drama. Yeah. The thing is, this psychological and emotional drama within you may actually not be the reality. So it's very much how we perceive things and how we choose to direct our attention and how we choose to interpret all this external information that gives us, that develops for ourselves a thought pattern, the feelings that go along with the thought pattern, and then perhaps the behaviors and the actions. Okay, Alan said something here. I believe it is our control when we are aware of it. Yeah, that's a very good point, which is why I start off by saying to enhance our own emotional intelligence, the first thing first is the self-awareness. Next is the ability to recognize the emotion and to label the emotion accurately. Because if you can't label the emotions accurately, then you may be using a wrong approach, right? Your approach may not be sufficient, okay? So it's important we are able to label them, all right? Like I said earlier on, this PLUTCHIK'S emotional map is widely available online, so you can Google it, take a screenshot, and start paying attention to how you feel, and increase your emotional intelligence by being able to label them. So in so doing, you are increasing your emotional literacy, right? Okay, I've seen before when two people have a disagreement and then they get into a drama, and this guy raised his voice like crazy, and people go to him and try to hold him back and all that. He was getting aggressive. People hold him back and say, "Hey, don't be so angry, don't be so angry." He said, "No, I'm not angry. All right, have you seen people like that? Okay, that will be like EQ 0 because there's not even the effort to be aware and to pay attention. Not to mention that I think he's already on the verge of rage. Certainly, it's not anger. All right. In our branch of practice, we say that, you know, minor negative emotions and all that, we all go through it from time to time. Because they're not serious, we tend not to do something about it. We tend to just block it down, or we say some comforting words to ourselves, like we let it pass, you know, it's gone already, okay, it's over already, there's no need to be angry. All right, but it's still inside you unless you really do something about it. All right, you got to take time to process it. You got to take time to tweak it, to do something about it, basically. All right, so these are all the emotions that we are capable of feeling. All right, question is whether we are labeling them correctly or not, because the intensity matters, right? When it gets serious enough, we must do something about it, and we must then exercise what we call the power of choice. Okay, so at this juncture, I want to ask you, back to these emotions. Has anyone felt emotions that are very intense, those that are in the middle here? All right, tell me which one you have felt and tell me what did you do about it. Because my session, Inspirational Moments with Billy, is with Billy, not by Billy. All right, we're going to learn from each other. All right, so when you felt those emotions, what did you do about it? Yeah, tell me what emotions you feel first, and then what did you do about it? Let's see. I'm not seeing comments for a while. I hope I'm not lagging or hanging. Yeah, I'm lagging for sure. I can see myself talking. Okay, which of these emotions have you felt most recently, and what do you do about it? Yeah. Okay. Can a new emotion be created with more than two basic emotions? Dylan, you just uncan another can of worms. All right. Is it possible that we mix more emotions together? The answer is yes. Look at this PLUTCHIK'S map. Look at PLUTCHIK'S map. Serenity, acceptance, joy, trust, you get love. Yeah. Surprise, distraction, sadness, pensiveness, you get disapproval. So yes, it is possible. I think if we really want to get down to this, it's almost like an endless dark hole, right? Okay, so primarily, let's be more aware of emotions we are feeling and the impact we have on the people and the situation around us, becoming more self-aware. Increase our emotional literacy by knowing these words, knowing what these words means, and knowing what these feelings are, so that we ourselves can label it correctly and therefore take better measures with it. All right. In our branch of practice, we use timeline therapy to get rid of primarily the 4-5 what we call major negative emotions that usually are accumulated. Right. We typically get rid of anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. These 5 things primarily. Yeah. Because anger and fear, when combined, can become aggression. All right, so in order to prevent people, you know, tipping over, then we need to do something about it. All right, so do recognize your own emotions and then exercise your own power of choice. I think on a daily basis, it would be a beautiful world if everyone is pleasant, if everyone operates well and they operate pleasantly by maintaining their thoughts, directing their thoughts in the right way, right? And then having that feeling. I'm thinking, Billy, is forgiveness an emotion? Okay. Is forgiveness an act or an emotion? Forgiveness can be a thought. It can give you a feeling of relief, if you like. Yeah. It can give you feelings like optimism or positive anticipation. It can give you peace of mind, so serenity. All right. So I think forgiveness itself encompasses several emotions. In fact, not just emotions. I think the thoughts are involved as well. Behaviors and actions are involved as well. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, forgiveness. I think every situation there is an emotion or a bunch of emotions attached to it. Heard of the saying, right? To forgive is divine. Hey, for some strange reasons, I discovered this. You know, when we were kids, we readily forgive and we readily forget. You know, whatever that happened to us, we just readily get over it, and then, you know, life just moves on, right? I mean, my dad got angry with me one time when I was young. He smacked me really bad, you know. And at that moment, I hate him like crazy. But then soon after it's over and all that, you know, I've already forgotten all about it. Go back, that, you know, and then we just forget all about it. I thought we had this gift because we did not even have to learn that when we were young. We just readily forgive and forget. How is it that when we become adults, we can forgive but we cannot forget? What does not forgetting do for you to solve the problem? What does not forgetting, I mean, of course, we don't erase it, right? But the level of your not forgetting, meaning how much are you holding on to, if it's very intense, then are you really forgiving? Okay, something to think about. All right, but power of choice. This is called Russell's circumplex model. We teach this in EQ. All right, there are basically two dimensions to emotions. One is intensity that can go from low to high. Another is the pleasantness that can go from low to high. All right, an example of high intensity, definitely very low in pleasantness, would be in this case grief. All right, disappointment is low in intensity, low in pleasantness, but it's not too bad, so it's not too strong an emotion. Yeah, happiness, joy is high in pleasantness, low in intensity, and ecstasy obviously is very high in intensity and very high in pleasantness. So one way to deal with emotions after being aware and recognizing the emotions is to decide what is the intensity of this emotion you're feeling and what's the level of pleasantness. Okay, because when you know this, then you know what and which side or where do you want to make adjustments with. Okay, so I would suggest, I recommend, like every one of us should strive to be pleasant and to be well. All right, don't simply let external information affect you. Okay, your mind accumulated certain information. Oh, he's nasty. Oh my God, he's so bad. Then you start feeling bad, right? But instead, start the control from the mind, and then recognize the feelings and tweak the feelings accordingly. You can choose how you want to feel, right? You can adjust the intensity, you can adjust the pleasantness and turn it into something else. Okay, let me see what Dylan said. Maybe we have little past and unwarranted emotion when we were young. I think when we were young is the time when we accumulate a lot of emotions. We're born with the 8, right? And then beyond that, we learn, we mix, and we experience more. So the emotion just kind of like stack up. The whole emotional dictionary becomes bigger and bigger. All right, thing is, as adult now, becoming aware whether or not you're walking around carrying accumulated unwarranted negative emotion, that's important, because if you are, then you have to do something about it, right? The sure sign is always when you are overreacting in situation. All right, you're overly hurt, you are overly angry. Okay, that's when it becomes beyond control. All right, so before it becomes that serious, we recommend that you must do something about it. Okay, also recognize your patterns along the way. And that means paying attention, tuning inwards to your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. I remember early in episode 2, I talked about this coaching technique, dealing with thoughts, feelings, and action. So if you haven't seen that one, you can go to our YouTube channel and catch up with it. All right, but here is also what we call the 6-second strategy. Now, when you're caught in the moment, okay, first thing you do is you stop. Whatever you are going to do, whatever you're going to think, put a stop to that. Take 6 seconds off. And why 6 seconds? According to this organization, 6 Seconds USA, their mission is to make the world a better place by equipping people and helping people become more emotionally intelligent, which I totally support. I think in this world, if we have people who are responsible, who take ownership of their own emotions, recognize their own emotions, and put in effort and resources to deal with those negative emotions, and everyone becomes pleasant, then I think it's a beautiful world. All right, but beyond that, within ourselves and our immediate circle, let's start by helping ourselves. Let's start by helping our immediate circle. All right, so this strategy is, if you're caught in that situation, first thing first is either take a stop by really excusing yourself. Get yourself out of that situation. Or mentally, emotionally, really take a 6 seconds off. Distract your mind by counting 6 seconds. Or think of 6 of your favorite food in Singapore. Whatever. The idea here is to do a pattern interrupt before you start running a negative pattern to react with the person or with the other people in that situation. Okay, you stop, you take 6 seconds off. Because 6 seconds said that it takes 6 seconds for neurochemicals to flood the brain and produce that emotion. It also takes 6 seconds for the neurochemicals to come down. All right, so take 6 seconds off. All right, basically stop what you're doing and then put in your thoughts now. Start thinking, what am I feeling? Am I taking ownership? All right, a lot of times I have people coming to me and their statements is very much like, he made me happy, my boss upset me. Look, your boss cannot upset you unless you allow him to. Other people he cannot make you angry unless you allow it. All right. So from the statements per se, question is, are you taking ownership? Taking ownership will sound something like, I feel angry when this happened. I feel upset when my boss said this to me, so that we can really pinpoint the cause and then analyze them and then change them. Okay. So we think, what am I feeling? Am I taking ownership? All right. And then ask, what must I do about it? What can I do about it? What thoughts specifically am I having now? And what feelings specifically am I having now? What can I do to tweak that feeling? Adjust the pleasantness and the intensity a little bit. All right. So that I'm not overly dramatizing it. And then adjusting the thoughts a little bit by refocusing my thoughts, by interpreting the situation differently. Because I don't believe that there will be people who go around just on a daily basis live a life of mission to piss people off. I just don't think There are people who do that. Of course, hurting people hurt others, right? Then all the more we need to build a shield for ourselves. All right. And finally, we respond by deciding on the best course of actions and the best ways to behave given those situations. Okay, so this is for when the situation happens. All right, remember that you must be the star. Stop, think, ask, respond. All right. If it's something that is significant and that is already past, then what we can do to increase our EQ and our IQ, for that matter, as well, is to do a reflection on those situations by analyzing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, and then deciding on having new thoughts, new feelings, and new actions. Okay, Dylan has something to share here. I recently think of NLP pre-sub, I think, the law of requisite variety. Yeah, it's the law of requisite variety. Yes, NLP has this principle that says we should embrace the law of requisite variety. What it means is simply this. In any situation, the person with the most mental and behavioral flexibility is the person who will get better control of the results. All right, so I think this is where we also recommend that you think, you ask yourself these questions so that you can come up with more creative answers, come up with more ways to deal with the situation. All right, so this is for when you are dealing with the situation per se. Okay, otherwise, the ones that I talk about in I think the second or third episode on TFA, that's to reflect on experiences that has passed. Okay, I kind of put together a few more slides with you here, so I want to share this with you. Now, primarily, optimists and pessimists have different processes and different patterns. Okay, when we put it in a diagram like that, quite interestingly, we see how pessimists and optimists respond and react. Okay, so during good times, an optimist will respond. Respond is positive. So the optimists respond by having internal processes of the 3 Ps. All right, an optimist during good time will think, oh, this is permanent, this will continue. Oh, this is pervasive because this good thing happened, every other good thing is going to happen. And this is personal. I did something right, my effort paid off, I deserve these good results. All right. Now, pessimists will do the 3 Ps during bad times instead. So it's a matter of choice, isn't it? So the pessimists during bad times will react. They think it's permanent, that these bad things will continue. And because this is bad, it's going to affect every other thing. And every other thing is just going to be bad. It's all encompassing. And it's all my fault. And then they have a victimized kind of mindset. Okay, so that's good times, bad times, optimist, pessimist. During bad times for a pessimist still choose to respond. A pessimist would think the TIP, the tip. Whereas during good times, the pessimists do the TIP. So effectively, optimist, pessimist means doing the opposite. An optimist will think that it's temporary, it's bad time, it will pass. It's isolated, only happen once, it will go away. And power, I can do something about it, I can elevate the situation. Whereas a pessimist, during good times, they react. They think that these good times are temporary. They think that it's isolated just this one time, but this one time is enough to kill me. And then they surrender their power and simply call it luck when good things happened. Yeah. So this in EQ are what we call internal processes that we can choose. Okay. So addressing various aspects now. Just now the star is for when you're caught in a situation. This is an ongoing basis, developing the optimist strategies of applying the 3 Ps during good times and applying the tip during bad times, because both of which you are still responding positively. Yeah, can you see the cross? Yeah, it's like a like a mirror. It's like a flip, you know. Okay. What else? Okay, any questions on this evening with regard to emotions and all of that? Because I have a question in mind. A lot of people talk about anger management, and I'm pretty sure every one of us here have been angry before. How do you deal with your anger? Let's hear from you. How do you deal with your anger? We all get angry, right? From time to time. How do you deal with it? Just ignore it. That's one way to do it. How? Come, let's see if we can have any response. How do you deal with anger? Yes, you share with me your response, and then I'll have something to share with you as well. Okay, nice one, Joseph. Talk about application. Okay, take the 6-second rule. All right, take 5. Okay, Caroline, we suggest 6. 6 seconds for neurochemicals to flood and 6 seconds for it to subside. Yeah. Okay, so take a break, have a Kit Kat. All right, but don't just stay as that, right? That means you just, okay, some of you will walk away. Take a break. Believe in a win-win situation. Okay, so being the star in this situation, you stop and then you start thinking what would be more productive. You take ownership of your own feelings, right? Okay, Leonard walk away first. Okay, so we have both men, women who will also walk away. I think in the heat of the moment, sometimes it's best when one of us is big enough to just walk away from the situation first, because the heat is there already. All right, by staying there, there's only more to burn, and so the fire will become bigger. Right, Kiran also sometimes choose to walk away. Of course, I think when you walk away, you don't just turn and walk away and go like whatever, you know. I think that will just that will fuel the fire. But rather just say, okay, I think we need to take a break from this and let's revisit this later on. Just I need a break for now, right? Okay, Dylan, chunk up the reason of why you are angry. Okay, ownership, chunk up and think what's the purpose of me being angry. Okay, that is purposeful thinking. Okay, yeah, I know what you mean, Caroline. Don't mean 5 seconds, but take 5. You know, that's what most people say. Usually, I think that means take 5 minutes, right? Okay. Turn to work and everything else dissipates. Ha ha ha. Okay. So perhaps you're passionate about your work and you do your thing. And when you do your thing, you don't feel that emotion anymore. All right? Can be a good approach. Let me see. Alan say press the pause button. Ha ha ha. In other words, taking a step back. Okay. All right. Leonard, explore the facts of the matter after. Okay. So I think most people agree the very first thing is you got to stop doing what you're doing already, because otherwise it's just gonna continue to clash. And you already have an argument to begin with, right? At that moment, both are defensive, both are on the attack mode. How receptive will they be to your reasoning? So instead of trying to reason with them, you reason within. You reason with yourself. Yeah. So again, depends. Some people are passive in their approaches. Some people are very active in their approaches. All right. So showing you this chart also tells you this. Choose to respond rather than to react. Okay. All right, so Sharon's in argument, I just keep quiet. Okay, Pauline Chung also say keep silent and still. Okay, is that like when facing bosses and facing customers, you cannot just walk away, right? So at that moment, you have to be there. Okay, now at that moment when you're there, as you are still listening to the argument, or whoever is scolding you or complaining to you or is angry with you, being there is not about passively letting them attack you, but I think in service situation you got to be there to just allow them to let it out. and eventually they will stop, right? And then when both are calm and the states are better, then we solve the problem per se and really deal with it. Yeah, but I think within you yourself, you need to keep yourself in a very good state. Remember, what people do outside, the drama outside need not be your drama inside. If it becomes a drama inside, that's because you allow yourself to. You allow your thoughts and feelings to put you in that situation. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Mindy used to cry when I got angry. Now I seldom react first with anger. Yeah, be cool as a cucumber. Close the eyes for a moment if you can. That's right. Do a break state. Yeah. Let me see what Joseph said. People is going to use your emotion against you if you didn't handle well at that moment. Yeah. Speaking of which, men has a tendency to raise their voice when we want to emphasize something. Okay, and I think I talked about this in the last episode as well. All the more you should not, because that's your natural instinctive reaction, your fight reaction, right? So if you do that, it's just going to make it worse. All the more you should do the reverse. So instead of raising your voice, all the more you should speak slowly and calmly. All right, let me see what Pelv has to say. You don't have to go to all the battles you're invited to. Whoa, very well said. Yeah. So it's all how you interpret in your mind the external situation, the other person's behaviors, or whatever they say, their communication, right? So the outside drama need not become your drama. All right. There is no reality. Reality is subjective. We all look at the same thing and can think differently. Yeah. Okay, women were raised higher. Yeah, we just actually had a little talk about this. You know, if this were, we have only women as political leaders, I think we will have no war. Men angry with one another, just, you know, get physical and fight. Women get angry at each other. I don't want to talk to you. You don't talk to me. I think the worst is we don't talk to each other. Okay, so choose your internal processes. Thank you for all the contribution with what you have mentioned. Here's some from me. Controlling your anger. Of course, if it happens at the moment, do your star. All right. On an ongoing basis, develop the optimism within you so that you keep yourself constantly at a pleasant, at a well state. Okay. Ongoing basis, as a form of anger detox and protecting yourself. Do a lot of positive self-talk. All right. It actually does not matter what people say to you about you. What matters more is what you say to yourself about yourself. Yeah. And as with any situation, apply consequential thinking. Think consequences first. All right. Do your cost-benefit analysis. And then utilize flexibility. By having mental flexibility, getting creative about it, and maybe reframe the situation and have a sense of humor. Yeah. For me personally, it took me quite a long time till I learned how to laugh at myself for my own silliness and for the dramas that I also had a hand in creating. Right, but having a sense of humor as well help to neutralize and rid yourself of these negative emotions. Yeah, and also examine your lifestyle. You know, are you subjecting yourself to unnecessary stress that brings down your level of intelligence? Okay. Physiological shift, do something different. Pattern interrupt is whenever you're getting, see, every behavior has a beginning and end. As soon as you start, you know the pattern continue, it will eventually end up badly. All right. As soon as you start, you interrupt yourself and go do something else instead. All right. That's what we call pattern interrupt. Okay. Another way for long-term developing of intelligence is to do your TFA analysis. Yeah, TFA represents thoughts, feel, and act. Your thoughts plus your feelings plus your action equals your result. So take time to reflect and examine your thoughts, your feelings, your actions in those situations that has happened, may happen again, and that you're getting yourself prepared so that if it happen again, you're going to think differently, you will feel differently, and you will act differently. Yeah. Okay, some more contributions here. Would reacting without anger give the other party more power over us? It's the same, Mindy, it's the same thing. Nobody has power over you unless you give it to them, unless you allow them to have it. Yeah. For me, I wouldn't think, okay, I mean, I used to, it's a matter of who is the stronger one and who wins, right? But so what if I win the argument, at the end of the day I lose a relationship, right? So start thinking big picture, start managing within ourselves. Yeah. So if you think, for me, if I may purposely want to give the person power for the time being, maybe because of the situation. If it's the customer has the power. Let the customer have a say, and really let them say. All I want to do is just listen, maintain my calm state. Of course, be sure to match and mirror them for rapport and project your empathy with their situation, and then do whatever you can to help them. All right. So would reacting give people power? I don't think so, unless you think so or the other person thinks so. Joseph has a response. The other party will use your anger as an excuse against you. Yeah. The moment you raise your voice, you lose the argument already. Because the new argument is, how dare you raise your voice at me, huh? All right. So that become a new argument. That could happen too. Okay. So I hope tonight we have all increased our emotional intelligence a little, right? By being more self-aware, by knowing that there are specific names for the emotions we are feeling. Yeah. Also very important to take note, when you have certain feelings, where in your body are you feeling those feelings? Right? Because the unconscious mind, the mind and body, they're all connected, and the unconscious mind has a way of giving physical signals to you to try and tell you that something else need to be fixed. Some emotional problem or significant events need to be reevaluated. Okay, so do pay attention to that. I think we are all aware that negative emotions and having negative emotions, it's like having a lot of toxic chemicals inside you that will eventually react. We know that anger can cause heart attack. We know that sadness and guilt can weaken immune system. Yeah. So deal with all these negative emotions, being aware, label them. All right. Know that is how your mind interprets it. All right. Because feelings are just thoughts with juice. That's all. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, Dylan has one suggestion here. Apply NLP negotiation model to reach common goal. That is when you're mediating between two persons. If you are the position one, you're the first person involved, that can get a little bit challenging. Yeah. Nice. Okay, Joseph, sometimes I will give 6 seconds to my angry customers before I tackle the situation. I think it's always good to let them have a say and let them let it out first, because after they let out already, what else do you still want to complain about, and what else are you angry about? Okay, when we calm down, all right, then let's see what's the problem, and let's see how I can help you with the problem. Yeah. So most important is that there will be emotional dramas from other people in situations. What I'm saying is those dramas need not become your inner drama, right? Okay, it's depression and emotion. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. If you look back into the PLUTCHIK'S model, I think you can see a relationship there with some negative emotion. Yeah. If Yeah, I think it's a combination of emotions and a combination of all the negative emotions. Depression may have rage inside, may have anger inside, likely to have a lot of annoyance inside, disgust, sadness, pensiveness, apprehension, fear, maybe a sense of submission, not feeling like you can't do anything about it and that you're powerless. All of this can cause and can trigger depression. Yeah. The other thing, of course, is depression could also be a medical condition, and that it can also be a pathological condition, although for like a very small percentage of people. Okay, so do what is right with it. Most important is develop resilience within yourself, and remember to detox yourself from time to time. We cannot stop other people from getting angry. What's most important is their anger need not become your negative emotions, right? Alan also said something here. It's like the mind and body forms a system. Whatever happens inside reflects externally. Yep. Your mind and body is connected. What happens inside, what you feel, what you think, will be projected on the outside. Okay. Finally, here we have, do I have this or not? Okay, 3 steps to competence, something that I put together to complete the session this evening. First thing, I think, recognize the emotion, not simply blocking it out or dissociating or habitually ignoring them. Know something, you ignore them, they don't go away. Instead, what happens is you keep burying them layer after layer, deeper and deeper, because your unconscious mind never forgets. All right, it stores all your memory and it represses these emotions until it's time for resolution. Problem is, some people never recognize that it's time to, sit down now. I'm a mature, grown-up man, time to be rational about this and whatnot. Okay, so do recognize those emotions. Okay, describe the emotion, label them accurately. Ask yourself, what thoughts are in my mind, and where in the body do I feel this emotion? If I continue on like that, is this going to be healthy for me or not? I think it's quite logical, all right, that it's time to then do something about it. And what do? You tweak your thoughts. You interpret what you see outside of you, what you hear from outside of you differently. All right, and controlling the emotion, discovering the reasons so you can reason it out within yourself. Or if you're dealing with someone, same thing. Calm down, revisit it, then let's reason it out. Okay, analyze and decide on your new thoughts, feelings, and actions. That's going to get you better results the next time. And remember, no failure, only feedback. Yeah. All right. Some wise words here. Joseph said this. Wise words from Mr. Bruce Lee. Be like water, my friend. Water is fluid. It takes the form of whichever the water is in. It's very adaptable. Yeah. It's highly flexible. All right, let me see. I used to work for a boss who was very explosive. It didn't matter if we did a good job. If it wasn't as per his instruction, he would shout right at our faces. It was quite stressful working under him. Yeah, I think sometimes you may just want to decide, are you putting yourself in those situations to attract those dramas? And do you want those dramas? And when is enough, right? Obviously, it means that there's some inner engineering that needs to happen. You have to be developing yourself further. I mean, if the boss is angry with everybody and it's not just specific to you and all that, then maybe it's the boss, But if every company you go to, you have a boss that treat you like that, then maybe it's you. All right. So in that situation, changing company is not going to help your situation. Changing bosses is not going to get rid of the situation, but change within yourself, transformation within yourself needs to happen. Okay, any last advice? Feel free to type it out. I'm just going to be sharing some comments as far as this evening is concerned. I prepared this to share with you and I've done so. Okay, forgive others and myself. forget, not the lesson learned, forgo the negative emotion. Yeah, just let the negative emotion go. Actually, it's quite interesting. I have this group of friends, just the few of us, very close from school days. We knew each other from when we were like 13 years old, kind of like grew up together, go through life quite a fair bit together. Even though nowadays we don't get together as often as we like to, we have each other in thoughts and minds and the once in a while conversation. Don't need to say very much, but have a connection kind. And I realized earlier in my career I was traveling quite a fair bit, doing training from country to country, living off the suitcase. And whenever there's an occasion, because Pat and Ben don't get along, I hope they're watching this at some point. They don't get along with each other. So Pat will call me when I'm overseas and he'll tell me, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you go and tell Ben that I'm celebrating my son's first month birthday on when and he's invited. And then we'll put down the phone and I will have to call Ben. I'm overseas, okay? Both of them are in Singapore. And I have to call Ben to tell Ben, and then Ben have to tell me, and then I have to tell Patrick again. And at some point I go like, what the hell is your problem? Now, I can talk to Patrick better. So I sat him down one day. I was like, actually, what were you two arguing about? What was the issue between the two of you? And his response, after some deep thoughts, was, I don't know what is it, but I'm still angry. Okay, when all is done and passed, all right, everything will pass. You and I too will pass. All right, what's the point of hanging on with all these baggages? Walking life's path is just going to be tougher and heavier if we also carry a load of negative emotions and negative thoughts within ourselves. Yeah. Okay, wow, birds of a feather, huh? Share your pain, but at a later stage, I just smile whenever he shout at me. There you go. I used to be one of those drivers where if people flick me with a finger, I want to overtake them and, yell back at them. But if you think about it, all it takes is if, because of that, I cause an accident that harms someone, I may never have peace of mind forever due to one action. So apply consequential thinking. Okay, understand that emotions don't just happen. All right, it's accompanied by thoughts. Emotions are just thoughts given juice. That's what it is, given more energy. That's why it's called emotion. If you split up the word, it's energy in motion. So the question is, positive energy or negative energy? Let us all respond and not react. Yeah, I also put this together when we did hypnosis. When your state is calm, control is in your palm. All right, and definitely keep ourselves in a pleasant state as much as possible. Keep ourselves well mentally, emotionally, physically if you can as well. One of the best ways to be happy is to make someone else happy. So let us all spread, starting from our little circle, our immediate circle, becoming more aware of our feelings, our thoughts, and our actions, the impact we have on the environment immediately around us, and then let's pay it forward. All right, with that, I want to say thank you for joining me this evening. And yes, as usual, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are loading up like these live streams and more new videos. Moving forward, I will be teaching and sharing more about hypnosis and hypnotherapy, but that I will be doing exclusively only on YouTube. So be the first one to join me there and learn more about it. All right, so do come to the channel, subscribe, make a comment, all right, and share it with someone else. Okay, let me see. Mr. Goswami, you've been quiet this evening. All right, these days, lots of job losses and anxiety. People tend to be in a hopelessness or hopeless state, what would be your advice to them? Okay, if they can help it, Mr. Goswami, go to my YouTube channel, Inspirational Moments with Billy, episode number 1. I believe that's when I talk about hope. Hope separates the quitters of today from the winners of tomorrow. So that's why I talk about hope. That's why I talk about setting yourself a desired outcome, right? But to give you a direct and straight answer, the job losses, I think from the day you take on the job, you know that is something you can lose. Like the only job security is in your own ability, right? As in, if you are not employed by one company, then at least someone else wants you for your capabilities and your abilities. So the real security is really your capabilities and abilities. That's one. Second, anxiety is usually caused by a future event. So the question is, are you visualizing, scaring yourself with a lot of negative self-talk and self-thoughts, your thoughts as well, that is creating this anxiety for you? Now, instead of taking time to go and moan over these job losses, focusing on anxiety and how hopeless it is, recreate hope. I think I have I have another quote that I put in for this evening. Quitters give up, winners wise up. At some point in our life, every one of us are going to meet with some significant emotional events. Question is, how ready are you? And how willing are you to be flexible to deal with those situations? All right, so subscribe, join us in our social media channels. With that, I want to say thank you for joining me this evening. And I hope that everyone has picked up something useful for yourself. All right, in summary, whatever drama outside of you need not be your drama. All right, know where to focus your thoughts, because from there, you get the emotions when energy is injected into it. All right, and do the right things, and always do the right things right. With that, build shield, develop resilience. Life's problems will never become smaller until we make ourselves bigger. So thank you. Good night, everyone. See you next Tuesday, and see you over at the YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate this. And more than that is all your sharing. Those really matters. Yeah, let me see if I can do this to show my appreciation to all of you. Okay, no, the emoji doesn't work this evening. All right, thank you, everyone. And do take care of yourself. We are getting into new phrases and all that, living in the new norm. Let's not just live in the new norm, but that we will win in the new norm. Thank you. Good night again. Bye-bye.